Thank you for your patience and cooperation. Boarding will begin in a few moments.
Hello YouTube and welcome, Phriq here, and I'm ready to do my second flight for my Let's Play Flight Simulator X FSPassengers video series. In my last flight, I flew from Fictional-Pher Hector International Airport in Fargo, North Dakota to Flying Cloud Airport in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So that is where we are at right now. We are in Flying Cloud Airport in our default Cessna 172. However, this time, what I'm going to do is do a slightly different flight. There are three types of flights that you can do in FSPassengers. You can do your normal flight where you go from one location to another location. You can do a tour flight where you have to land at your departing location and the flight has to be at least around 20 minutes long. 20 minutes to 3 hours, I believe, is what the requirements are. And then the last option is an aerobatic flight, where you also have to land at your same departure airport, and the purpose of that flight is to actually shake up your passengers and try to get their adrenaline running. I'm not going to be trying to do that in a Cessna 172, so instead what I'm going to do is a tour flight. So I'm just going to kind of fly around for around 20 minutes and try to earn some extra cash, because as we saw last time, I kind of struggled in my pricing scheme because I lost money. Mostly because of my landing light fine that I received, because apparently the game wants you to have your landing lights on all of the time, apparently. So, we are not gonna, I guess we're gonna do that now. Anytime under 10,000 feet, according to FSPassengers, they want the lights on. So I guess I'm just gonna test that out. I'm going to keep my landing lights on throughout this entire flight just to see if I do not get dinged with that fine. With that said, I'm going to go right away into the pre-start checklist before I start loading some passengers. So I have my parking brakes already set. We can confirm by looking down and seeing that that is pulled out. Throttle is closed. Magneto starter switch is set to off. Battery alternator switches are off, as are the avionics master switch. Fuel pump switch is off. Mixture fuel flow is in the cutoff position. So now we're going to go into the battery switch and turn that on. I'm also going to turn on the alternator at the same time. Panel lights, I am going to turn those on because it is a little dark out. Flight controls, I've already checked them. Again, like always, I am just assuming that I have done all my exterior checks on this aircraft on account that I cannot do it in game. So for simulation's sake, that is completed. Flaps, we have those up. We can confirm that they are up right there. And then if we look out the window, we can also see that they are up. So flaps are up. Fuel quantity, we will look at that, and we can see that we have roughly 3/4 of both of our tanks. I will fill it again completely full when I load up with passengers. Fuel selector, that should still be in the both. And avionics switch, we'll go ahead and turn that on. Avionics is on. Check weather. So we're going to go to the ATIS information. The ATIS information for Flying Cloud is 124.9, which we have in our standby for
Flying
Radio
Cloud,
2.
cleared for delivery, Cessna, November.
So I'm going to go to that.
Flying Cloud, airport information, Romeo 1603, Zulu, wind 060 at 3. Visibility greater than 20 miles. Sky condition, ceiling 2,100, overcast. Temperature 4, dew point -1, altimeter 3006. Visual, runway 10, left in ILS, runway 10, right in use. Landing and departing, runway 10, left in, runway 10, right. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back all short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact event. Romeo, Flying Cloud.
Alright, so we have our ATIS information. We have Romeo. We're at 3006 for altimeter. As you can see, this time I actually have weather in. This is based off real world weather, so we do have a relatively low ceiling, so it's not going to be a very high flight. Ceiling is at 2,100 feet. Because I am going to be going VFR flight rules again, so we will not be going up very high in this one. But that is all right, since it is a tour flight. So we have checked our weather through our Addons. We're not going to request clearance yet. Transponder should still be set to standby 1200, and our beacon should still be on, which we can see it is on down here. And for some reason, my nav light keeps on coming on. I'm not sure what is happening to turn that on. I noticed last time I had that on and it was then off in flight. So something goofy is happening that is turning off my nav light. So I'm going to have to try to figure that out. Anyway, with that said, I'm going to start loading passengers, and then I'm going to start up the startup checklist. So I'm going to go into FSPassengers and start a flight. Okay. Gonna once again put myself all the way to 100% fuel, advanced fuel, make sure it's even in both wings. We're gonna bring both passengers along. Since we're just doing a tour, we're not gonna bring any baggage along. Destination, well, I'm gonna actually cancel that and just go to set type, and this is gonna be a flight tour. So as you can see, it should be at least 10 minutes. Oh, 10 minutes instead of 20 minutes. So it should be 10 minutes, but less than 3 hours. So that is what I'm going to be doing, a flight tour. I'm going to set flight type. So destination should still be KFCM. I'm not sure if you actually
destination
have to
set.
Do that if you're doing a flight tour. No luggage. Aircraft current load. We look good. Yeah, everything is good. So I'm going to do OK real-time load. Telling me that I have to open up my door, Shift E. So in-flight tour or aerobatic flight is always set. Okay. Well, that is fine. Basically telling me that since I'm doing my flight tour, I don't have to set a destination. All of this looks good, so I'm going to hit start flight, and I'm going to hit Shift E to open my door so the passengers can start boarding the aircraft. While that is happening, I'm going to do my startup checklist, engine and propeller area clear, which it is. There's no passengers in front of there. I'm going to crack my throttle, which you can see right here. I'm going to crack it about 1/4 of an inch. Mixture, I'm going to put that all the way to rich. Fuel pump switch. We're going to come down to the bottom here, turn that on. Magneto starter switch. We're going to put that into the start position. So we can see that our aircraft has started. We're going to pull our throttle back to idle. Alternator switch, we would turn that on at this point, but I already turned that on. Oil pressure, ammeter, we can check that, as well as our engine instruments. Fuel pump switch is coming off, and annunciator lights, we'll also check that. So we can see that we don't have any annunciator lights right here. We can see that we are getting positive amps with our amp meter. And we can see everything else is in the green except for oil pressure, but that is because we are in idle and we're not doing a whole lot right now. So next we can go to our before taxi checklist, and for that what I'm going to do is nav lights. We're going to turn those on at this time. Taxi lights, we're going to put those on. Heading indicator, altimeter. Altimeter is set, heading indicator is still set, and I am not going to be doing any autopilot or anything in this flight, so we can see that this is still roughly matching up with the compass as well. Instruments, normal operation. We can see that everything is in normal operation. Radios and avionics are checked. I'm going to finish setting them right now. So ground frequency is 121.7, which we have on COM 1, so I'm going to put that to ground, 121.7. And tower is 118.1, which we have on our COM 2. So I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm not going to be doing any flight following or anything like that for this flight, because it is just going to be a flight tour and I'm going to be doing circles and things like that. So I'm not going to have ATC do a flight following. All the passengers are aboard, so I'm going to go ahead and close the door with Shift E. And I'm also going to turn on the fasten seatbelt sign if I can, because we are on an active taxiway now. So we'll get our seatbelts on. So our avionics and radios are set. Autopilot is set and off. I'm not gonna be touching it, so I'm not gonna worry about it. I might actually just put this down to we'll put it at 1,500 feet, just in case for some random reason it were to turn on, it doesn't shoot us up into the sky or shoot us down into the ground. And now we can request our taxi clearance. So we've already got our frequency for Flying Cloud Ground, and we are going to depart to the... we'll depart to the west and figure out what we're going to do from there.
Flying Cloud Ground, Papa Hotel, Quebec 3-1, ready to taxi, west departure with Sierra. Papa Hotel, Quebec 3-1, taxi to and hold short of runway 10 left using taxiway Alpha Golf. Contact tower on 118.1 when ready.
Alright, acknowledge taxi clearance.
Runway 10 left using taxiway Alpha Golf, Papa Hotel, Quebec 3-1.
Alright, so we have our information. If you heard the sound cut out, that's because in my Firefox window on my other screen, I switched to the airport diagram so I could get my taxi instructions. So we are going to be taxiing via Alpha and Golf. So I see where we have to go. We basically have to turn all the way around. And we're kind of on the western, or I should say eastern side of the airport, and we need to go to the western side of the airport. So if I were to turn on progressive taxi, you should see that we come over here and then start turning backwards. So I'll put that on just to confirm. We can see that we come out there and start turning up there. So I'm going to turn that off right now. And we have everything ready for taxi. So we are going to go into our taxi checklist, parking brake. We're going to go ahead and release that with our Control P. Taxi to assigned runway. Maximum speed is 20 knots. Brakes will check during our taxi, as well as directional gyro, turn coordinator, and artificial horizon. If I turn, you can see automatically that our turn coordinator is working. We can see that our brakes are already working, and our artificial horizon is working. So you can do that pretty quickly, but we can also check that throughout the remainder of our taxi to make sure that everything is going well and smooth. So we will start our taxi. As we can see, the weather is not as nice today as it was on that first flight out here. But that is alright. We like having a little challenge. We like having a little weather and a little more realism. I guess there's a hold short line, even though this is the end of the runway. No one's coming. Again, ATC doesn't tell you to stop at hold short lines or proceed past them in this game, so you're not docked for going past them, even though for realism's sake I try to hold at the hold short lines. Starting to get a little quick here. So we're on taxiway Alpha. Yellow on black is where you're at, that's how I remember that, and we are booking on this taxiway, which is fine with me. We're not supposed to exceed 20 knots, but I obviously did there because I want to start flying. That's the point of these videos, is for us to fly. And it looks like we might be third in the pattern, or in the taxi line to take off, so that's unfortunate. And there's a sign in the middle of the taxiway, so that's kind of unfortunate as well. We're gonna get away from that sign. I don't know if there would be a collision detection with it or not, but I don't want to find out. So it looks like we are going to have to wait a little bit. There is a Cessna going on to the runway right now, and there's a Mall Orion still in front of us. And here's taxiway Golf, so we're going to turn on to taxiway Golf.
Flying Cloud Ground, Cessna, November 2948, Quebec. Request taxi to parking. Cessna, November 2948, Quebec. Taxi to general aviation parking. Using taxiway Foxtrot Alpha. Taxiing to general.
Alright, the Mall Orion is going on. I'm actually going to slow down quick. Stop. Put on my parking brake. So we have taxied to where we want to go. We're not quite at the hold short line, so we're not going to call tower yet. Before taxi checklist, though, we can run that. Parking brake is set. Fuel quantity, we'll check that, and we can see that it's fuel. Fuel selector valve should still be in the both position, which it is. Throttle, we have that. At idle, mixture is rich. Alternator switch, we'll verify that that is on, and if we go down to the bottom switches, we can see that it is on. Throttle, this is where we can do our run up, so we can crank this up to about 1800 RPM. Normally you would do this facing the wind, but the wind is almost a non-factor. It's only at 3 knots, so I'm not going to focus as much on going into the wind. So we're at about 1600. I'm going to pull our magneto to left. You'll see a little bit drop in our RPM. Pull it to right. You'll see that drop come up again. We'll pull it to the right magneto, and you'll see the little drop again, and pull it to the both again, and it'll raise. So we know both our magnetos are working. Ammeter, we can still check that for a positive charge, which we have. Throttle, we're going to pull that back to idle. Oil temperature, we'll check that, and we can see that our temp and our pressure are in the green. So we are good there. Elevator trim, we are going to set that for takeoff, which is about right there. And I'm going to actually come up now. I'm going to take off parking brake, come up to the hold short line, and I'm going to contact Flying Cloud Tower. Alright, so at the hold short line, parking brake is back on. Radios and our flight controls are free and correct. Flaps I have at 0%. I'm going to put those down to 10 because FSPassengers does require you to have a detent of your flap set in order to take off. Flight controls are free and correct. Radios and avionics are set, and I am set to tower. I'm going to come down to my light switches, and taxi light is going to come off. Nav light is on again. I turned that one on. Never mind. Landing light, we're going to put that on. And strobe light, we are going to put that on. And we might put on the pitot heat for this flight, just because there are the clouds, and I don't know what's going to happen with those. Transponder is on, and we can request takeoff clearance. Also, in my takeoff checklist, usually you do turn on your fuel pump as well, I believe. I skipped that step. I am not seeing it. I thought we did that, but maybe not, so I'm going to keep it off. Anyway, that might just be for landing. So, I'm going to request my takeoff clearance.
Flying Cloud Tower, Papa Hotel, Quebec 3-1, ready at runway 10 left, departure to the west. Papa Hotel, Quebec 3-1, cleared for takeoff, runway 10 left, west, departure approved.
Alright, so we are cleared, so we're going to acknowledge our takeoff clearance. And we are going to start taxiing onto the active. Seatbelt sign is on. We'll double check that, which it is. We're on the active. I'm going to set the brakes and takeoff checklist. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Here we go. $40 knots. 55 knots, decision, we're looking good, so I'm gonna get ready to rotate at 65. There's 65 knots, rotate. And we are airborne. I'm gonna start trimming again. I'm gonna pull up my flaps as we are airborne. This will get me a little better climb speed. We are at 80 knots, so I can start to go into my climb out checklist. Throttle 2300 RPM. We're at about 2300 RPM, which we can see down here. Departure to the west, we're going east, so I'm actually gonna start turning to the south and then I'm going to go to the west. And I'm going to turn to avoid this cloud in front of me as well, because I don't want to fly through any clouds. Alright, so I'm going to start straightening out here. Since we're doing a flying tour, I'm not as concerned with where exactly I'm going. I'm not trying to go anywhere in particular. I'm just going to fly around for a little while and show you how a flying tour can be conducted. We're going to level off at 2,000 feet, I believe. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to 2,000 feet because I might do an altitude hold, even though I will not turn on a heading hold. So we're at 2,000 feet. I am going to start to pull back my throttle a little, not a ton, to about our cruising speed. And I'm going to trim the aircraft so we can get our speed. And start to level off. Still climbing a little. We're going to pull back the throttle some. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my altitude hold. We are 100 feet high, but that's alright. Autopilot will slowly bring us down. Now, since we are flying at 2,000 feet, the ground is at 1,000 feet, so we are not going to be very high. 1 second. So we got to tune it to 125.00 for Minneapolis approach. Also, I'm going to turn. Maybe not. Heading hold was not on, but we'll cycle it. Sometimes you have to cycle it for some reason. Anyway, we're going to start our turn. We're going to start heading west now. And 120 or 125.0, we'll put that to the active, and we're going to tune to Minneapolis approach.
Contact Minneapolis Center on 133.7.
Which we are on.
Going to 133.7. World travel 3802.
Alright, so we are doing our flying tour. Again, like I was saying, since we are only at 2,000 feet, that is MSL right here, mean sea level. We know the airfield is at about 900 feet, so we're only about 1,100 feet above the ground. So we do need to make sure that we are steering clear of any kind of obstacles that may take place. So we are going to try to not hit any towers or anything like that, because that would be pretty bad. We've been departing to the west. I'm going to go north, and we're just going to fly around for a little while. We really don't have any particular destination to go to or anything like that. So this is basically just fly around, kill time with your passengers on board, because they're basically just wanting to see things and have fun flying in the sky. I was hoping to fly into Minneapolis, but this weather looks like it might be keeping us pushed off to the west. Looks like the clouds are over on the east side. Over here, you can see a few of the downtown towers or skyscrapers for downtown Minneapolis. But I don't know if I want to fly over there because A, I don't want to have to deal with going into the Class B airspace. In real life, in the game, you know, it's not a big of a deal. You could just fly into it and they would not say anything. We're gonna probably just go north for a little while here. stay in the suburbs. Just try to have a nice little calm, smooth flight. Gonna keep the seatbelt sign on throughout the entirety of this flight just because there are a lot of clouds and I don't want to have to deal with any turbulence that might come up. Gonna lean my aircraft slightly, not a whole lot since we're not very high. So we're cruising at about 110 knots roughly. And this is all a flight tour really is. You fly around, you circle, and you kind of just go wherever you want, and then you land at your departure airport. So I'm going to look at the time. Right now it is 11:28. Instead of having you come around throughout the entire ride where I'm just kind of circling around and whatnot, I will bring you back now as we get closer to deciding when we're going to land. So I'm just going to fly around for a little while, and I will bring you back a little later. Alright, so I'm bringing you guys back. It's only been about 5 minutes or so, but I'm going to show you one of the fun things about these flying tours, and that is simply enjoying the scenery of FSX and kind of flying around. If you have any custom texture packs or ground packs too, you can really start to enjoy some of the scenery because it does look pretty good, I think. And especially flying over an area like this where there are a bunch of lakes, it does add to a lot of fun. And it gives you a reason to fly low and enjoy your flying because it is kind of fun flying with this cloud deck above us and flying over all these lakes. It's not the most beautiful of days, but it is still, you know, pretty scenic and fun to fly. So it kind of brings some of the joy of flying back, where you're not just trying to get from point A to point B. You're not just focused about stats, but you're actually enjoying what you're doing, because I'm actually having a lot of fun right now just kind of flying over these lakes, looking at the city and these lakes, wishing that I could be down there fishing like I said last time. I wouldn't love to maybe live on this island right here. That could be my house right there. Then I'd have my own boats and stuff and whatnot. That would be a heck of a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I don't live on an island. I'd probably want a slightly bigger island too that had a nice flat area where I could land a plane. Or actually, I'd just put floats on this thing. It would be perfect. Oh. Yes, this company, Phriq Airlines, has to take off so I can eventually buy my island on a lake where I can fish and fly and enjoy life to the fullest.
Traffic is 9 o'clock, 4 miles.
That would be a lot of fun. Anyway, we'll keep on flying over this lake some, doing the scenic tour. Not sure exactly where the airport is right now. I haven't been paying attention. I believe it's somewhere. I can kind of see the lights right there. So we'll probably start heading back towards it. This is not going to be a very long flight at all. This is going to be a short flight. Just because the whole purpose of this was to basically show you how a flying tour is done. And there's not much to it. There's take off from one airport and land at that same airport and fly around for as long as you want. You know, anywhere from 10 minutes, as the FSPassengers says, to 3 hours. I don't know why you would want to do a 3-hour tour flight. I have done some before when I used to play FSPassengers, and I'd usually make towards the bare minimum. It was usually 10 to 20 minutes, and it was a way to supplement my company with some extra cash, so that is what we are doing. Also, as you can see, I have kept my landing light on this entire time, so I'm going to see if that maybe helps me, you know, do better, because I did get penalized for my landing lights being off on my last flight, so hopefully that doesn't happen. What I'm actually going to do right now is I'm going to switch to COM 2, and it's not going to let me do that, so I'm going to have to go to nearest airport list and back. airport's further from you. Where's Flying Cloud? Right here. And we are going to request a full stop landing.
Flying Cloud Tower, Papa Hotel, Quebec 3-1 is 7 miles northwest with uniform to land. Papa Hotel, Quebec 3-1, Flying Cloud Tower. Fly straight in, runway 10 left, altimeter 3014.
3014, acknowledge pattern
Fly
entry
straight in,
instructions.
runway 10 left, Papa Hotel, Quebec 3-1.
So we have set 3014 in our altimeter. We can see the airport up here. And we are coming in at a 1-2 heading, so we're close
Papa Hotel,
to that.
Quebec 3-1, cleared to land, runway 10 left.
Acknowledge
Cleared
this
to
quick.
land, runway 10 left, Papa Hotel, Quebec 3-1.
And so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to come down here. I need to turn off my autopilot. And we need to start slowing down. So I'm going to pull back my throttle and I'm going to pull up the trim in the aircraft and we're going to start to slow down. And we're going to put in our first detent of flaps. And I think we are coming in at the wrong angle for this airport. Gosh, I cannot see the runways at all. I'm too low. But I'm pretty sure that I have to be over further. Yes. So we are going to come over here. I'm pretty sure we have to come basically be down here a lot further before we start turning into the runway. So we're going to be going south for a little while. There we go. Alright, so we're going at about 85 knots right now. We have the first detent of flaps in, so we're at 10 degrees flaps. We're coming in for our approach. As you can see here too, we have flown for at least 10 minutes. We're probably close to, what, 15 to 17 minute mark or so. Gonna start turning slightly towards this airport in just a second. Actually, I'm actually gonna put in my second set of flaps now too. The airplane is gonna want to bleed off some speed, which it is doing, and we're at about 70 knots, which is all right. It's going to be a pretty shallow turn because I need to line up with that left runway, and the wind is not helping out at all right now. As you can see, it kind of pushed me right there. Hey, there's a golf course down here. So I could live on an island on that lake and have a golf course nearby. I'm not very good at golf, but I like to play it. My running joke is I usually get par for 18 holes. Unfortunately, I typically only play 9, so that's about how good I am at golf. Alright, so we are making in our final for runway 10 left, which we can see right here. We're on the glide slope, but this remember, these VASI lights right here for runway 10 right. So they are going to be slightly different for us. Even though that the elevation is the same, they're having you land about right here, which would put us on the dirt. So we do not want to do that. That would not be good to put our passengers on the dirt. Also, we're coming in on final, so I'm going to put in my final detent of our flaps. You can see that we have slowed even further. We want to land at about 65 knots. Landing light is still on, so we should be good there. It says we're coming in high, but remember there is this hill on this airport that we kind of have to avoid, and these trees. So we're working on avoiding both of those. Hopefully I don't botch this landing kind of like I did last time, where I came in a little harder than I would have liked. Skimming the top of the trees right there. Gonna start pulling back my throttle some. Still on the right. Oh, we need to give it power, give it power, give it power. There we go. Alright. Coming in, I'm gonna start cutting back on my power. See if we can't just glide down nicely. Which we kinda did. And we have landed. I've got my brakes in.
Quebec 3-1, exit runway when able.
And we are gonna exit at Foxtrot this time instead of Alpha 3. Wasn't too bad of a landing, still harder than I would have liked. I floated a little longer than I would have liked.
Moffett Hotel Quebec 3-1, contact ground on 121.7.
Alright, time to contact ground. We are off the active, so we are going to acknowledge our handoff.
121.7 for Moffett Hotel Quebec 3-1.
121.7, so we'll 121.7. Oh, I guess we had it up here in COM 1, so there we are. And we are going to request taxi to parking.
Flying Cloud ground, Moffett Hotel Quebec 3-1, taxi to parking. Moffett Hotel Quebec 3-1, taxi to general aviation parking via taxiway Foxtrot Alpha.
Alright, so we're using Foxtrot Alpha, so I'll acknowledge that.
General aviation parking via taxiway Foxtrot Alpha, Moffett Hotel Quebec 3-1.
Alright, next, since we have landed, we are going to go to our taxi to the ramp checklist. So strobe light, we can turn that off right now. Flaps, we want to make sure they're fully retracted up. Taxi light, we're going to turn that on, and landing light, we are going to turn that off. Speed, we don't want to go more than 20 knots. Elevator trim, we're going to have that set for takeoff, which is right there. Avionics and radios are set, and transponder is still at 120. So our taxi to ramp checklist is completed. Start giving a little throttle. We're going to be taxiing on Foxtrot and Alpha to general aviation parking. So basically the exact same place that we came from. As you can see right there, there's Foxtrot, which we are on. Yellow and black is where you're at, and we need to go on to Alpha. And I assume they're going to have us go to the exact same parking spot that we did last time for general aviation parking. So that is where I am going to head. And I'm just going to assume that it is the right place. Hopefully we never got any penalties this time, because it would be nice to make some money for our company instead of just keep on bleeding it away. Hopefully you guys enjoy these videos. I know the last one, I didn't realize it, but when I got finished editing it, it was 2 hours long, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if anybody is going to watch something that long with me ranting for that long. So if you did watch it, if you did enjoy it, thank you very much. If you're watching this one, it is going to be a lot shorter for you, but maybe you like them longer. I don't know what you guys like. So do contact me, message me, or you know, send me a comment and let me know what you think of these videos. Coming here on runway 18, so I'm going to slow down at this hold short line, and as always I'm just going to check out the windows, make sure there are no aircraft on the runway, which there are not, so I'm going to go ahead and go. And we'll probably park next to that aircraft right there, which is that another Cessna 172. Can't tell if, yeah, I think so. That's where we're gonna park. Actually, no, I'm gonna park in front of it, down here. Again, if you do like these videos, please let me know. Please message me or subscribe. I would appreciate to hear all your comments. If you want to see me fly to any particular location, or want to see a tour, flight tour of any particular location, Also, please message me or comment and let me know where you want to see that done at. My goal is to try to fly all 50 states in this series, so my next video, I think I'm going to fly to Duluth, Minnesota, because I'm planning after that to fly straight to the UP of Michigan, the Upper Peninsula, which I think would be a fun place to fly to. Well, we're a little off to the right, but you can always hand push the aircraft to where you need. So I'm going to hit Control P. And we are at our location. So I'm going to go into the shutdown checklist. We have our parking brake set, throttle. We are going to pull that to idle, which it is. Fuel pump, we need that off. And actually, I believe it is off already because I never turned it on my landing checklist. Avionics switch, we're going to turn that to off. Taxi light, we can turn that off. Nav light, we can turn that off. Pitot heat, we can turn that off. Mixture fuel flow is going to come to the cutoff, and we'll hear the engine shut off there. We can take our magnetos and put those to the off position. Beacon, as always, I am going to leave that on. Panel light is coming off, though, and battery and alternator switches are coming off. So we have landed and shut down our aircraft. Secure the aircraft, we can keep the parking brake, verify set, throttle, verify idle, and all switches verify off, which we will do. But first I'm going to open my door and start letting passengers onboard the aircraft. We can see that there are 30 seconds still left, and then we'll see if we actually made some money on this flight or not. Hopefully we did, because I might just have to sell this aircraft and get a different one. Just so we're not flying the default Cessna 172. It's going to be a bad business decision because it's not going to make us money or lose us money, really. It'll probably lose us, actually, some money. So it'll be a bad business decision, but whatever. Onboarding complete. Select End Flight in FSPassengers menu. So I'm going to do that. FSPassengers, End Flight. All right, here we are. And the mode is set to realistic and flight is already registered. I have to, I have it set to automatic register. Our flight time, time airborne was 20 minutes. Flight time on the ground, or including ground time, was 33. Landing speed was at 55 knots, so a little slower, but that's all right. I don't know what kiss means. I kissed the earth. I don't know. And we made money. Look at that. That is awesome. It was an exceptional flight. Our passenger ticket income was $101 per ticket. Fuel cost was only $14, so we made up for half of the money that we had lost in our previous flight. Overall results were perfect. The company reputation they feel should be 100, so we increased our company reputation. Pilot bonus. I had the wrong altimeter setting on landing. This has been a major cause of controlled flight in terrain in the past. I am pretty sure they told me altimeter was set to 3014. Whatever, I never got charged money. That's all I care about. I don't care about my pilot. He can suck. You've made a very smooth landing. Perfect flight, no problems, and very satisfied. So I guess overall it went well. Apparently my altimeter setting was wrong, even though I'm going to review the video, because I am 100% sure that I set it to what Flying Cloud Tower told me to set it to. So FSPassengers, you game are wrong. Anyway, with that, I am going to go ahead and close this. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, do feel free to comment or message if you would like to say hi, tell me where to fly, what aircraft to fly, or any suggestions that you might have. Also, again, if you do like the videos, please subscribe, because I would like to see you. I'll come back for other videos. So thanks again for watching, and we will all catch you next time.